It was a hot and heavy week in X-Men. We've got the end of Jonathan Hickman's X-Men run. We've got the introduction of a new hero in Krakoa. We also got details on the stories that Jonathan Hickman had planned that never came to fruition. And we also got some other details on X-Men Red. And here to discuss these things with me is the X-Men historian himself, the Marvel aficionado. Doc, what up, buddy?
Hey, brother. How you doing? Thanks for having me back on.
Let's get into this X-Men number 6. We knew Captain Krakoa was coming. We speculated, you specifically, that this was actually going to be Cyclops. And that's exactly what it is. It looks like $1 million. I don't want to sell that short. Pepe Larraz looks great on this issue, but it's very predictable. And it's actually quite confusing because nothing is really making sense here.
Yeah, this is a book that starts off with Captain Krakoa almost seeming like he doesn't know who he is. But the way that they do it, it's you think it's somebody else. And even like during the first couple of pages with Cyclops, him complaining to the Quiet Council that he's not having Captain Krakoa on his team. This issue does look great. I mean, Pepe Larraz did do a great job on it. And there was some kind of subtle hints throughout the book that it was going to end up being Cyclops. Just the jawline and everything. And Pepe Larraz managed to keep it pretty consistent throughout. It feels like we missed an issue between 5 and 6.
Yes, where Cyclops dies publicly and they can't explain why he would be back.
Yes,
he has
exactly.
to take over the persona of Captain Krakoa so he can still be a hero without people knowing who he is. They forgot that issue.
Yeah, they definitely forgot that issue. Jerry Duggan's X-Men has the same problem that Jonathan Hickman's does. The one and dones, it's very jarring from issue to issue. At the end of the last issue, we were seeing, I guess, the Krakoans and the X-Men and Cyclops in general being concerned about Ben Urich writing a story about how the X-Men reincarnating.
Also, Ben Ulrich, apparently, he doesn't remember, or he's being threatened to be told he doesn't remember because he's not telling the story anymore.
I'm going to go with he got mind wiped. Xavier or Jean or Emma, kind of the way that I wish most of the Krakoan era could be mind wiped from me.
That part of the story sucked. It doesn't make sense. The design itself, while Pepe Larraz does a great job doing the best he can, it's actually quite stupid. Superhero with flowers coming out of his ears is whatever.
The design is bad. It's just a bunch of lines.
Let's move on to the other plot. Bei Long finally shows up on Mars.
On Mars. Yep.
Also known as Arakko, he decides to take the moon and declare it for humanity and terraform it in a matter of, I guess, a couple of days. After there was a confrontation with Sunfire, the action was good. The dialogue was okay, I guess. What do you think about Bei Long? I think that Dr. Stasis has a lot more potential, but...
See, here's the thing. They started the whole Bei Long thing, and then they had him in that shuttle and getting exposed to all this stuff, I guess, to turn himself
he's doing what the Fantastic Four did with Reed Richards when he got his powers back.
Exactly. But then they never really showed anything else with that. They showed the start of it, and they skip all the actual parts in the middle. And then they go to he just has powers now. And we don't know that he has powers, and we don't know what his powers are. And it's very undefined. And look, he just killed a giant gargoyle-looking mutant.
And he could shoot fire from his mouth, like through a pane of glass, but the glass doesn't break.
He could literally incinerate an Iraqi mutant on the moon of Phobos without damaging his own visor on his space helmet. Yeah, sure. You know what? Fuck it. Whatever.
Well, it's comic book stock, and they kind of do the it's comic books thing again. They're like, yes, he terraformed Phobos in a matter of 2 hours, and next thing you know, it's completely encapsulated in this enormous like shell. It's got rings around it.
Yeah,
and it happened in like 2 days. And you're like,
first of all, they referred to it. I'm pretty sure they referred to it as a Dyson sphere in there. Jerry, look, once again, demonstrating your ignorance. Dyson spheres go around suns. They go around stars in order to capture their energy. They do not go around rocky bodies. It's a complete waste of the technology. It doesn't do anything. It looks cool, but scientifically, it serves no purpose.
I saw a lot of people were saying that they really liked this X-Men issue. Me personally, I kind of maybe like the Fei Long story. I hate the Captain Krakoa story, but I love the art. So it's like a 2.5. Like I could take it or leave it. If you have to read X-Men, there are worse X-Men comics that you can find than this one. But if you're picky, you don't want to read something that's kind of maybe a waste of your time. I say skip this one personally.
I would say if you like a consistent story or something that really makes sense and doesn't just jump and skip large portions of the plot, skip this comic. But you know what? This is one of the least offensive issues of X-Men in my opinion since the relaunch. This is one issue where they aren't just repeating the exact same plot for like the 5th time. So I'm going to give it 3 stars actually.
Hey, normally you're more pessimistic than me though. I like the optimism, Doc. Let's see if we can keep it going. We know that Jonathan Hickman's X-Men run ended with Inferno number 4. He is gone, but he did not leave without leaving a few morsels of information. He went on to a podcast, laid out a lot of the plans that he never got to enact, including the Moira X story that was going to be written by Al Ewing, Generation X series, Hellfire Club Kids series, Imperial Guard, Mr. Sinister, and I believe there was going to be a storyline where Black Panther and Storm have a child. I guess that was going to play into that giant size X-Men Storm that never made any sense whatsoever. A lot of these things I'm kind of glad I didn't get to see, but I do think that Moira X series would have made a lot of sense. And really, Moira X is kind of it's emblematic of Jonathan Hickman's X-Men run. She went into her no place for 2.5 years. She came out for one storyline, and then she's gone with kind of an unsatisfying ending. Were there any of these series that you were like, man, I really wish I would have seen that?
Well, I would have liked to see the Hellfire Club Kids just to see Jonathan Hickman and the editorial office there keep fucking up and forgetting that their name was the Hellions. That's the name of those kids. Emma's students were called the fucking Hellions.
Well, so they took that name.
Yes, I know. But in this interview, honestly, it kind of demonstrated that while Hickman might be really smart guy and mostly like X-Men, he actually doesn't know a lot about it. He knows a decent bit about X-Men. I wanted to just see how many issues they'd get before somebody would point out, why in the hell do you keep calling them the Hellfire Club Kids? They're the Hellions.
Well, were you sad that you never got to see this Mr. Sinister series? It sounded like Jonathan Hickman was inspired by Kieran Gillen's take on the character. No. I know, and you know that you're quite smitten with Kieran Gillen's take on Mr. Sinister.
Oh yeah, sure. Look. There's a lot in this interview. I'll be honest. The more I hear about Hickman's long-term plans for the X-Men, the happier I am that his run got aborted, and the sadder I am it ever got started. Because
I don't think these were like the long-term plans for X-Men. I think this was just spin-off stuff that they could have done if this was successful. The only one that feels like it was like a long-term plan would have been the Moira X series that we never got. And then the Black Panther Storm child would have been important. I think this other stuff were just accoutrement that they could have thrown on top of it if the line was really successful. I don't think that these were going to be core books that really were flowing into the main narrative that he was doing.
The story with especially like Sunspot and Cannonball and a lot of the New Mutants, like the original New Mutants crew, they were basically going to end up running the Shi'ar Empire. That would have been a major and significant change. I already don't like the change of Cannonball being a husband and father mostly on Chandelar. That's a change that came from Jonathan Hickman's Avengers. I don't like that change.
Doc, let's just be honest. You don't like change.
I like change. I just don't like it. See, there needs to be change that doesn't fundamentally alter the nature of characters. I never like giving characters kids, to be perfectly honest. It does fundamentally change them. Look, it happens with people. It
makes them better. Superman was better with the son.
I understand, but you can. It's a change that you can never go back on. That's the point. You can never undo that change. The last time they tried to undo that change was with Spider-Man, and it really did.
Where is Mayday, Doc?
It pissed off.
She's out there somewhere.
But the point is, it pissed off and alienated a large portion of the long-running Spider-Man, fan base. Like, I could deal with like future kids, like in a future
let's
timeline.
Get rid of Cable, Doc.
No, I mean, I could.
That kid. Well, he's problematic.
It did piss off a lot of Cable or Cyclops fans. That,
now I think about it, it pisses me off.
Yes, that
let's get rid of Cable.
Well, no, it's not getting rid of Cable. It's getting rid of. They never should have had baby Nathan in the first place.
That's what I'm saying. Let's just blink him out of existence. We got this wonderful reboot.
Well, no, you can still have Cable without baby Nathan because he just has to be born at some point in the future.
Well, Doc, I want a little bit of consistency within what you're saying here.
No, that's
you don't want kids. If you don't want kids, you can't have Cable.
Again, I don't mind the future kids, like the Avengers Next kids, like from the MC2 universe from like back in the 90s that Mayday Parker actually became Supergirl or Spider-Girl in. I don't mind those. It's the actual being a parent and raising a child like an infant in current continuity that bugs me.
I don't know. The Richards kids have been there for a long time, Doc.
The Reed Richards and Sue Storm that are in the comics now are not the same Reed and Sue from the first like 50 issues of Fantastic Four.
Because it's Dan Slott's version.
No, I'm not even talking about that. I'm not even talking about right now. I'm talking about even in pick any time in the last like 35 years. They are not the same character that they were before Sue had children.
Are you sure you just don't like children?
Well, that's part of it. Part of it, I don't really like children.
It is,
but no, like
you do realize that you're partaking in a child's hobby, right?
Yes, I do. But tell me, I mean, you got 3 kids. Are you the same person now than you were before your oldest was even born?
No, I'm way cooler. I'm more capable. I'm more calm. I'm like about a billion times more heroic now. It's only changed me for the better.
Okay,
although I am really tired.
Yes. But here's the thing. If you ever wanted to reboot your life, if you had the option to go and hit a reboot button and be the same person you were before, you can never do that.
No.
It's actually impossible. Sending a character to jail, killing them, all those things, those things can be undone in narratively. Giving characters children can't. It's just that simple. You can undo it and backtrack if it doesn't work out with everything but giving characters children. And that's what bugs me. So the Storm thing, hey, they're like, oh, Storm is the greatest hero and she's so capable and this and that. Hey, let's fundamentally alter her by giving her a child.
It's called progress, Doc. We gotta move the character forward. We don't want these characters in stasis.
Yes, but there needs to also sometimes be the illusion of change. That's the one change that you can never walk back. That's my point. So if they don't turn it, if it doesn't go well, if it's not received well, you can't undo it.
All right, Doc. We've done this enough. We've beaten this horse dead twice already. Let's talk about the last story. We do have some details in X-Men Red. Al Ewing, Stefano Caselli, wonderful artist. As far as this story, it feels like when Al Ewing started Sword, like, oh, we're going to do this space story. And then halfway through it, he said, I'm not really interested in space. I'm more interested in what's going on over here on Mars. So I guess it's probably better to just give him a series on the stuff he ended up wanting to do anyway. But it's a terrible name. Like,
I do. I agree wholeheartedly with all those things, except for the fact that Al Ewing is going to start working on this story and then some aspect of it is going to pop up and he'll be more interested in that because he's like a fucking cat with a laser pointer and he'll lose interest in telling this Mars story the same way he lost interest in telling the space story. He'll be like, well, I guess I can kind of keep some aspects of
this is destined to be a mini series, isn't it? Just
it's absolutely destined to be. Well, I'd say maxi series. I think you'll get 12 issues.
Well, you know what I'm saying? This thing is not. This isn't going to be an extended run.
Well, look. There's not enough fucking substance here to to
there's
really
an entire planet that's been terraformed with 1 million new mutants. I mean,
with 1 billion new mutants, nobody with like 10 million new mutants that nobody gives any fucks about.
Bay the Bodacious is part of this, man. What are you talking about?
Yeah, and you know what? I completely forgot she unbeaten.
Was it? I thought it was unlucky.
No, she's the unbeaten, or maybe the unlickable. I don't know.
Unlickable.
Yeah, she doesn't get beaten. That's all I remember. So I think she's Iska the Unbeatable or something like that. In fact, actually, I don't give a fuck about any of those Dinner Party and Sword Party X characters. I don't care. None of them are interesting. They don't even look cool, to be perfectly honest. They all look weird. But no, this series, it's more about Storm.
I think it's going to be about Storm and elevating Storm as if, I think Storm is a character that probably doesn't need elevating. You should probably just treat the character like she's supposed to. And
yes, this is another. Well, she's not Wolverine. She's not Spider-Man. She can't carry her own book because she's never been able to, and none of the X-Men except for Wolverine can. Getting mad about that. So we need to. This is going to suffer from Captain Marvel syndrome, where they keep giving.
His own book, though.
Yeah, Cable carried his own book too,
but so he wasn't Deadpool, and he's been part of the X-Men sometimes.
Yeah. But regardless,
so unless you're an X-Men character created by Liefeld,
Liefeld or Larry Hama, or not Larry Hama, Len Wein. Yeah, but no, I have a feeling this is going to suffer from Carol Danvers syndrome, where they just keep elevating her and making her more important and claiming she's more important and giving her stronger powers and being more unbeatable. To think that that's going to make more people like her to raise her profile more, instead of putting Storm in a challenging situation that makes her actually have to use all the tricks in her arsenal to come out the other end of. They're just going to make her more powerful and more respected.
Unlike Carol Danvers as Captain Marvel, Storm already is super special and awesome. It's already been proven. It's on the page. You don't have to make anything up. The proof is in the pudding here.
Yeah, but except for in the last 3 years, she's been less than awesome. In fact, she's been really fucking boring because all they do is validate her more. They don't challenge Storm at all.
All right, well, I challenge you, Doc, to stop hating kids and change. That is this week at X-Men. We had a pretty okay issue of X-Men. I thought the Captain Krakoa stuff kind of sucked. Everything kind of around it looked really good. The art was fantastic. The Fei Long stuff was pretty interesting. The what might have been Jonathan Hickman stories were less than compelling, but there were definitely a couple of nuggets in there that I would have loved to have seen. And X-Men Red, it's going to look good, but is it really something I'm interested in? It's got such a bad name. I don't see this one being a comic book for me, Doc.
I'm the same. The Hickman nuggets, they are absolutely emblematic of his entire run. Introduce a cool idea, hint at, drop a little bit of hints, and then entirely shit the bed, forget to tell the story, and move on. So, yeah, that sounds about right.
So just a few days ago, I did talk about Jonathan Hickman's Inferno #4 and his time on X-Men and some of the disappointment I had. I have the video right here. If you haven't watched it yet, I do think you'll like it. If you were interested in House of X Powers of 10, but maybe a little bit let down in the way it all played out, this is probably the video for you.